So this has been by far one of the low volume, high value topic for both preliminary as well as mains examination. You get multiple choice objective type questions and increasingly 2 to 3 questions in the mains examination, which is descriptive type in general. And when we say for preliminary examination or screening test, so you get in excess of 15 questions every year on average. It is difficult to draw averages, but still, and of late the number of questions have been increasing every year. So that is a weightage for the preliminary examination, wherein question is given and answer is also given in the question paper. We all know that. All you got to do is find that answer in the question paper where answer is also given. Yes, and here we have the issues concerned with contemporary developments and how to solve certain problems here. So the subject content is same for the state public service commissions as well as the UPSC. So whenever question arises, the syllabus is almost quantitatively and qualitatively is almost the same here. Only thing is the questioning pattern is slightly different, whereas for state PCS in the mains weightage is little greater. In the state public service commission, the weightage for this topic in mains examination is higher. Yes, and preliminary, of course, we all know that the weightage is almost 20 questions in the preliminary examination. And for our convenience, we will be dividing this subject into 5 different subtopics, and these subtopics are just for our ease of understanding. Please understand this. The syllabus is almost same here. The first topic would include something called as the fundamentals or the concept building or the basics. Many people would assume as the basics here. The first chapter is about basics, fundamentals, and the second discussion for our understanding would go around the environmental degradation, which is a trending topic here. Environmental degradation again is divided into 2 subtopics. So this is the short term environmental degradation, which is relatively reversible, which is discussed under the heading of pollution for all the practical purposes. And pollution is of multiple types. We all know that. Those are like atmospheric pollution or air pollution, and we have water pollution, we have soil pollution. These are major parts of pollution in general. Once we are done with this, we can add certain other types of pollutions like solid waste. It is a problem across, which includes the plastic pollution, the e-waste, the so-called e-waste, which is increasing, which is very toxic in nature, e-waste, which also would include certain pollutions like the thermal pollution, because we have had questions from this like increasing heat in the environment, like urban heat island effect was a mains question. So there is one example where we get questions on this thermal, and we have something called as the radiation contamination or radioactive pollution. These are also increasing. So these two are also part of the pollution here. So this is the second discussion, and third discussion, which is part and parcel of the second, which is B, but this is a major topic, hence we will discuss this under the environmental degradation, and this degradation is on a long term basis. The long term environmental degradation, which is usually the irreversible type here. Irreversible type, and it has far reaching impacts globally, and because pollution impacts are relatively local, but the climate change impacts are relatively global, and this is discussed under heading of climate change. And we all know that climate change is a major topic of discussion globally. Whenever 2 or more leaders, world leaders, they meet, they talk about climate change, and weightage for this topic is also higher when compared with other topics. So this is a third topic here, and fourth topic is Biological diversity, which is also called as biodiversity, and definitely this is increasing in its popularity because new species of organisms are being discovered, but let it be plant species or animal species, whether aquatic or terrestrial or amphibious. New species are being discovered. They are in news. So questions would be based on, they'll give a scientific name of some organism and they'll ask, this is concerned with which of the following. Yes, such simple things should also be there. So biological diversity, and fifth will be about the organizations, climate change, biodiversity related organizations. So this will be in the form of the international organizations and legislations, or we can also have the conventions, international conventions, and then we have the national level legislations or acts or laws or certain projects at national level, or at national level we have certain missions, national level mission. So these will be discussed here, and in the fifth element itself, fifth topic itself, we can add some miscellaneous topics, and also we can have previous year questions mixed with this. So these are the 5 subtopics or 5 topics in this discussion of ecology or environmental studies. For our convenience, we'll divide this into these 5 parts to start with in general. And please remember that more number of questions, we can understand the depth, we can understand the width of this, subject and the relevance of this. So these will be discussed. The focus will be on this because topic wise the PYQs will be discussed here, and both the multiple choice objective and the descriptive mains questions. We'll try to answer them also. Answering pattern, that is very, very important when it comes to mains examination. Yes. So that will be our approach here. Again, our approach is 3-pronged here. So 3-pronged approach. Number 1 is we'll focus more on concepts because this is the static part of it. Static, which doesn't change over a period of time. Concepts don't change much. For example, osmosis or diffusion and these kind of topics do not undergo major changes. They remain static part of it. For example, you have something called as the desalination technology, or how to convert salt water or sea water into potable water or drinking water. So what is the technology involved? Reverse osmosis. For you to understand what is reverse osmosis, you should know what is osmosis first. Or we have had questions earlier that what will happen if you put a fruit into the ocean? For example, fruit like a watermelon. Watermelon is a water rich fruit. What happens if you throw that into ocean water? That is based on the concept of osmosis, because fruit becomes dry from inside. That was a previous year question. You will understand this. What happens to an organism, a dead body, if you throw that into ocean water? What happens if you throw a dead body into fresh water? If you throw that into fresh water, the body accumulates water. If you are, though you are surrounded by sea water, you become dehydrated. So irrespective of the temperature. Why? The concept revolves around osmosis. Likewise, diffusion. And based on this, we have one more concept called as transpiration. Plants lose water. So these topics, simple examples, they do not undergo changes over a period of time. Please understand this. So these are static part of it. These are examples of static part of it. So concept building. We have had questions like why a refrigerator should not be kept in the kitchen. Again, static concept. Because the refrigerator from compressor loses the heat to the surroundings. So kitchen is a place where you cook food and there is already a lot of heat. So what happens to a refrigerator if you keep in the kitchen? It will consume more electricity and the durability of the machine compressor will be lesser. So this is static, which doesn't undergo any change here in general. These are certain examples of static concepts. Concepts do not undergo change. Static concepts are taken from certain topics like biology, certain topics like physics and chemistry. So basic sciences would work here. Photosynthesis, energy. We have had questions like in photosynthetic process, what happens to energy? So sunlight, solar energy is converted into chemical energy. in the form of the carbohydrates. We all know that doesn't change over a period of time. Or why there is in some areas the heat accumulation is higher in urban areas. Why? And the temperature inversion process, which is same across. For example, we have something called as latitudes. Latitudes means what? Climate lines which are parallel to equator, which are imaginary across the globe. Do you think all regions on the earth in the same latitude have same temperature, which is supposed to be climate? Yes or no? Climate lines. Latitudes are climate lines. Yes. So then what other factors influence the temperature of a region? Why some regions are cooler? Why some regions are warmer? Whereas climate change will have different impacts. Yes or no? For example, climate change impacts are lesser in Europe. Impacts are greater in Asia, or you can say around the equator. So climate change is not same for all. Then who should worry? Who doesn't need to worry immediately? So we have certain kind of things here. Static concepts are drawn from biology, physics and chemistry here. This is the first area where we focus on. Second area we focus on is the applications of these concepts. Application oriented discussions. Application. What do you mean by application here? For example, meat consumption is harmful to the environment. Human meat consumption is harmful to environment. Many people would assume that my food is my choice. Why should I worry about, and why would it be a problem to others? Because the meat consumption, two things are there. Number one, the livestock, which is grown for production of meat. They generate lot of methane. Yes. And the waste in the meat production industry or the food waste, they decompose and generate lot of methane. So in both ways, methane is a harmful gas which causes global warming and eventually climate change. So meat consumption is a factor which worsens the climate change effects. So what is this? Application oriented. People understand this? Application oriented. It's a simple thing. Usage of HVAC systems, heating, ventilation and air conditioning systems destroy the ozone layer. How destruction of ozone layer is harmful to humans? Application. You understand this? Application oriented questions. Those topics will be discussed here. This is the second approach. For example, something is the way it is and why should we bother about it? So static concept is something is the way it is. Why it is important to us? What if we do not care about it? What loss would we have? Or what is the benefit because of it? For example, we talk about biological diversity, varieties of plants and animals on the earth. So what? Varieties are there, let them live. And we will live the way we want and let them live the way they want. Now, we have something called as benefits arising out of biodiversity and loss because of loss of biodiversity. Harm to humans, that is application in general. And third is integrating concepts and applications with contemporary issues or contemporary developments. How do we integrate? Because your questions will be largely based on contemporary developments only. Questions will be based on contemporary developments. That means recent issues, current affairs, current or recent. Why it is important? Because your questions, let it be multiple choice objective types or descriptive types, these are based on recent events. Recently, there is a news of the loss of certain animals in a region. So, what is the implications of it in the day-to-day life of people? So, that is based on what? The contemporary developments or issues. In this also, you have to talk, for example, mangrove trees, mangrove plants. Mangrove forests are being destroyed because of fishing activity, tourism activity or coastal erosion, all these things. So, what happens because of loss of mangrove forests? Why should we bother about it? And where has it happened? So, recent developments and their integration and implications. So, integration with concepts and implications. That means effects. For example, climate change is causing rise in mean sea level. That is one aspect. So, what will happen to people? For example, coastal towns and cities which are under 1 meter height from ocean level or mean sea level are at a greater risk of inundation or coastal impacts. So, that is recent. Which countries, which cities are under such threat and why we should take action and prioritize our actions. Yes. So, integrating contemporary developments with concepts and applications. So, these three areas are important because they help you give qualitatively superior answer, and your questions will be based on contemporary developments. Question is not based on news item, but what will happen to people because of that. Now, you should be able to integrate contemporary developments with the concepts and applications. This would be our approach. So, three-pronged approach. For every topic, we need, for example, you take pollution. Why Delhi pollution is important to us? What if Delhi is the most polluted capital city, national capital in the world? So, what? Now, application. Now, any recent, why? Because of stubble burning in Haryana and Punjab is a reason. So, what? Then, the even and odd and even numbers of vehicle numbers will be allowed on certain days and not allowed on certain other days. So, that is practiced in Delhi. So, that has impacts on people's lives. So, all these will be discussed concerned with every topic: pollution, climate change, biodiversity and loss. So, why they are important is, again, we have a concept called as triple planetary crisis. Triple planetary crisis. So, globally, United Nations organization is worried about, and the world nations, the world is worried about this situation, because this situation has implications on extinction level events, extinction level event or events concerned with not only humans but also flora and fauna, plants and animals. So, what is that triple planetary crisis? Under that, number one is pollution is increasing, second, climate is changing, and third is loss of biodiversity. So, because of all these aspects, human survival is becoming increasingly challenging and expensive. So, what? So, that would be the discussion. So, focus areas will be three. Entire subject of ecology revolves around these three topics. To answer certain questions, we need to follow the concepts approach. Is it clear? So, that is the reason why we should focus on these three, because these three are part of triple planetary crisis. That means the most pressing issues the world is suffering from, and these can lead to extinction level event. What is extinction? Extinct and extant, we use these terms here. Yes and no. What do you mean by extinct? What do you mean by extant? Please remember, don't worry that we'll be using a lot of subject specific terminology, which is vocabulary heavy. Subject specific terminology. For example, you take medical science talks about a lot of medical jargon. So is engineering, so is any other discipline. Yes and no. So, likewise, ecology also has its own vocabulary or terminology. You should understand those terms and use them contextually where and when required. Only then you can convey the actual meaning to the examiner. In that way, you can write less and express more. That is the goal of writing practice. You understand this? You cannot write, a big story of whatever you know in the examination, because there is time limit and word limit. So, to meet that time limit and word limit, still you meet the goal, you should use subject specific terminology. That is, write less, convey more. Choose your words wisely. How can you choose your words wisely? By using contextually these words. Contextually means what? Based on the requirement, based on situation, based on the target audience, like how much of information you want to convey in general. Hence we use terminology, because in less letters it is having more meaning in it. So, that is why we use certain vocabulary. So, don't worry if you are not aware of this vocabulary, because these classes would help you. So, be aware of vocabulary and then the contextual usage, which is very important, because not only it helps you understand the question, because questions use terminologies, but also it helps you give qualitatively superior answer. Qualitatively superior answer. That is why we need. Please remember, using subject specific terminology is not complicating the answer. Please understand this. Many people assume that we need, do we need flowery language, complex English for this? No, it is not. It is knowing the subject specific terminology, that's all. It is not about English. It's about how you convey your information appropriately to the target examiner. You will understand. For that, you should be aware of the terminology. There is nothing wrong in knowing more. You will understand this. So, over preparation is always better than under preparation. You will understand this. We always say this. We asked a question. Last time we asked a question. Yes and no. Whether over preparation is good before you go to the exam or under preparation is good before you go to the exam. Many of you opined that under preparation is better. Yeah, that is comfortable. But is that sufficient? Over preparation versus under preparation. What is better? Better. Think about it. It's okay. Come on. Yes and no. So it is like going to a war. Over equipped or under equipped? What is better? You will have many options. You will be better prepared. Though there is no such thing as over or under, but appropriate preparation doesn't exist. Nobody knows. Unless you have questions from the areas from which you prepared. What if there is a question from unknown area which you were not aware of? You will be under prepared. Hence, your answer is not enough or you don't know what to answer. So, over preparation is always better here in this case. But again, what is over preparation? There is no limit. We will talk about that. So, these are some basic things here, basic things in general. So, preliminary or screening test. So, test your ability to understand concept and relate them with contemporary development. So, many people would assume that it is largely factual. So, yes, factual is less focused now. Let's focus on facts here. So, don't worry about names and numbers. They are trivial. Names and memorizing names and numbers is not mandatory. You will understand this. But necessary, not mandatory. You will understand this. It's okay if you are not 100% accurate about the scientific name of certain organism. It's okay. Even if you get a question, it's okay. Yes, for that you don't have to boil the ocean and remember everything or memorize everything, which is stressful. Yes, and you may miss the point actually in the endeavor of remembering everything. Yes, factual focus less. In fact, application oriented nature is very good, very useful here. Yes, definitely it is useful. And more importantly, how do you integrate them? So, integration with contemporary issues or current affairs. It is very, very important because this is what is important, because that on this only you get questions. How aware of how much are you aware of the contemporary developments and their implication on day-to-day life of people? That is what ultimately which matters. Yes or no? So, for example, turmeric cultivation in Telangana, especially Nizamabad, Adilabad and other some areas are there. Yes or no? So, turmeric again, it is a plant. Economic implications are there and lifestyle and livelihoods of farmers, and it is revenue generating for government also. So, why Telangana or Nizamabad areas need turmeric board urgently? That means turmeric board can be in use, but understanding the importance of it is the concept, application, why it is required. Because many people argue that farmers can cultivate any crop. Yes, no. Why only turmeric in some areas? Why only rice in some areas? Why only wheat in some areas? Why only rubber in some areas? Why only jute, West Bengal? Why only jute in some areas? Farmers can cultivate any plant. Yes, no. If they have fertile land, irrigation and some support in the form of fertilizers and pesticides, they can cultivate anything and grow and sell them and earn money. But that's not so simple as economics. You understand this? That has implications globally. Food production, food security, livelihoods of people and their traditional technology and the market requirements. So, there are a lot of other things. Yes and no. That is why it's a simple thing here. Integration with contemporary issues or developments in general. So, for preliminary examination, applications and contemporary developments are very, very important, whereas when it comes to descriptive or mains examinations, you have to strike a balance. That means answering pattern. So, answer writing. How to put forth your idea in the form of a 150 word or 250 word answer, not mere few lines or some facts and figures. That is not enough. So, we will have to have this approach here. Okay, getting back here. So we have certain terms here, for example, ecology, and many people will be, talking about the concept of environment also, and many people would assume that both are synonymous. Let's look at some concepts here. So, what is this ecology and what is this environment? So, ecology includes environment. Please understand. Yes.
So explaining about the paper pattern here. It is in the GS3. So how to identify certain questions, which is like connecting with the general science and technology and connecting with the ecology.
Definitely, yes. They are interconnected. So, for example, science and the environment. So, they are very much interconnected here. Yes, not only these two. For example, you have GS3 topics, but these can also be connected to general essay. These also are connected to the society here in general, and these are also connected with the, for example, there is applied ethics, a dimension of ethics in GS4, applied ethics called as environmental ethics, which is emerging. We don't care about environment when we look at the administration, governance, economy, or industrialization, urbanization, infrastructure development. We don't worry much about environment. Yes and no. Should we follow environmental ethics also before we embark on the journey of our decision making or actions every day? That part of it, why it is important, and to attain the sustainable development goal. Yes. So, all these things we'll talk about. It has implications, and of course, it can also be asked as a interview question. So, environment or studies about environment in the form of ecology has connections with, it is interconnected, interrelated, and interdependent on multiple components of multiple papers in your syllabus. First point. Next point is, it is very closely associated with science. It is very closely associated with science here, especially biology and chemistry. You can understand this. So, environmental chemistry, in many universities, there is a postgraduate degree in the name of environmental chemistry. Lot of chemistry comes into picture here. Chemical reactions come into picture. For example, ozone layer depletion or air pollution, how greenhouse gases cause climate change, and what are the implications of climate change in the form of global warming, rising mean sea levels, melting of glaciers or glacial retreat here, and ocean thermal expansions and biodiversity loss. All these are connected with chemical reactions. So, a lot of chemistry goes into this. Likewise, plants and animals, their biological nature, biodiversity is all about biology. It is closely associated with biology. So, biology and chemistry will be heavily discussed here, but it is not about biology or chemistry alone. It is an applied science. It is an applied discipline. Ecology or environment is an applied discipline. Applied means what? You need the knowledge of all other subjects in an integrated manner to understand the importance of our environment. So, that is why this topic is there in the syllabus here. Now, it is not a separate or isolated subject or discipline. It is interconnected, interrelated, and intricately intertwined with many other subjects of many papers. And you can have questions on many other papers also. General essay also can have a question on environment studies. You can have on society, social issues. And you can also have implications in ethics. And then interview process also, you might as well get a question. So, multiple subjects will be touched upon here in general, for a basic note here. So, it is not just GS3, but multiple other papers. So, that is how it is. Getting back here. So, when we talk about ecology. So, the term ecology comes from, of course, a lot of Greek language, lot of Greek words, lot of Latin words, lot of Germanic words, yes, will be used here in certain terms here. So, this ecology comes from the German terms oikos and logos. So, whenever you have a doubt in understanding a word, try to split in 2 or more parts so that it will become easy for you to get a meaning of it. Yes. Oikos and logos. Oikos means what? In general. Oikos means home, or simply in our language, in our terms, we call it as habitat. What is habitat? Habitat is nothing but dwelling place of animal or a plant. Habitat means home. Home of whom? Again, what is our home? If people ask you, where do you live? It should not be my home, my city or my state or my country. You live on the earth. In that sense, on a global scale, we are tenants here. It is a very global perspective. That is why it is called as a mental aspect here. What is mental here? Yes, mental means what? School of thought. Ism means way of life. When your thoughts determine or influence your way of life, that your surroundings are more important than anything else. That school of thought is called as environmentalism. Environ means your surrounding. Mental means thought process or school of thought or mindset or state of mind. Ism, way of life. So, lot of things go into this in that way. We'll talk about that, don't worry. So, lot of Greek, Latin, German words will be presented here because scholars, philosophers, thinkers, naturalists, ecologists or environmentalists from those areas use those terms first. We continue the same because literature contains all these words as they are. That is why these terms are there. So, ecology, logos means what? It is the logic, it is the reason, it is the scientific study with documentation. So, ecology is studying about your home. So, this again goes into multiple directions here. That means, what are there in your habitat here? Habitat contains both living as well as non-living. And ecology talks about the interactions, scientific study and documentation of interactions between living organisms with their non-living surroundings. So, that is how we introduce the term ecology in general. Who used these terms for the first time here? So, when we talk about this, for the first time the term ecology was coined. Coined means it's a person who used it, called as Ernst Haeckel. Ernst Haeckel used this term for the first time. Coined the term ecology for the first time in 1866. 1866 was that time period wherein Darwin was there, and there's many English or European naturalists, biologists, ecologists started working together, and that's the time when Gregor Johann Mendel also conducted studies on peas, Pisum sativum, who became eventually father of genetics. So, this time period is very, very important in the history of science and ecology. Yes. So, Ernst Haeckel coined the term ecology for the first time, and eventually Eugene P. Odum, American biologist, conducted extensive studies on the natural surroundings and documented about ecology. Hence, he is often considered as what? Father of ecology, modern ecology. And when it comes to India, who is the father of Indian ecology? Professor Ramdev Misra, for all the practical understanding purposes. Professor Ramdev Misra is considered as father of Indian ecology. And American ecologist Eugene P. Odum is considered as father of ecology in general. And German naturalist called as Ernst Haeckel coined the term ecology in 1866. It's okay. Should we remember all these things? Again, it's a choice. Should there be a question? Yes, it matters. So, what is ecology? You have some idea. Scientific study and documentation with reason and logic about your home or habitat. So, in literary texts, what is ecology here? It is the study of interactions of living organisms among themselves and also with their surroundings. So, that makes ecology a kind of scientific study in general. Okay. Now, the next term, very popular term in this is what? Your environment. So, environment. Environ is a French term here. So environ in French means that which wraps around, that which surrounds, so surrounding. So environ means that which wraps around, that which surrounds us. Whatever that surrounds us would be called as our environment. Please understand, environ means that which surrounds us, that which wraps us around. Environment. Ment means what? Again, we always say this, are you mental? Again, many people say no in the beginning. Yes and no. So, are you mental? It's okay. Whatever comes to your mind, say yes and no. Don't overthink. It's okay. Keep it simple. If it is simple, let's keep it simple. Let's not blow it out of proportion and make it deliberately complicated. Life is already complicated outside the class, isn't it? Yeah. Are you mental? No way. You are mental, not me. What? Well, I did not say anything about it. Are you mental? No. That's what I said. Yes. You are okay. You are? Yes, lady. Are you mental? No, not at all. You are mental, not me. You are mental? Mental? Yes, lady in the last. Are you mental? Guess you attended our classes. No, you did not. Okay, it's pretty simple. What is mental here is, it is the, function of your brain. What is the function of your brain? Primary function? Yeah, thought, thinking. To think is the primary function of your brain. You understand this? The ability to think is called as a mental function. Healthy or unhealthy is different. Yes or no? Thinking is the reason for stress. So, thinking should be unhealthy. Can you stop it? That's a paradox here. Yes or no? You know it is bad, but you can't stop it. It becomes necessary evil, hence paradoxical. Yes or no? So, being mental is necessary. We are. Yes, lady, mental? Are you mental? Now you are mental because you are able to think. So, we are mental beings, not just because we have brain, but it has the capacity to think, to find reason, to have a logic. You will understand this? Of course, we add some masala also to it. What is that masala we add to it, to our thoughts? Emotions. Yes or no? We are not just beings with logic or reason, but we also have emotions. And then you will talk about that in GS4 called as emotional intelligence. That is another story. Yes or no? So, we should always remember that whenever you are dealing with humans, you are not just dealing with beings with logic or reason, but you are also dealing with beings with emotions. Often, emotions play a greater role than your reason or logic sometimes. Because 90 to 95% of scenarios, how do you respond, how do you react will be out of emotion rather than out of reason or logic. Yes or no? Most of the times, how do you respond or how do you react is largely based out of emotions rather than based on logic or reason. Yes or no? Primarily with emotions, not with the reason or logic. First, whatever happens to you, how do you respond or react? How do you answer? It is largely based on emotions. Well, that becomes another subject, not here, don't worry about it. But we add that emotional masala to it, yes and no. So, but primarily all beings, not just with brain, because many organisms have brain, but having a logic or reason combined with our thoughts. And that is what makes us mental beings. And then mental health or mental health issues, that is definitely secondary here, yes. Do you think all people think in the same way? Do you think brain of all people is same? You think you have different brain and I have different brain? We are talking about brain. Same brain, right? Yes. That means technically, theoretically, we all should think in the same way. Yes. No. Neurologically speaking, all humans are born with the same number of neurons, 1 trillion neurons. The brain growth gets completed before you are born. Hence, children are born with a large head proportionate to the body. Hence, childbirth is a complicated process. You all know that. We are born with larger head because brain growth gets completed even before we are born, and the body grows later. Human beings have the largest brain proportionate to the rest of the body in the animal kingdom. You know that? Not in absolute terms, but proportionate terms. Human brain is the largest proportionate to its body in the entire animal kingdom. 1375 cc to 1425 cc is the capacity of your cranium. Cranium means just a bony box. We call it a skull sometimes. Yes and no. Cranial capacity we call. The volume of brain is 1375 cc to 1425 cc, cubic centimeters cc. Yes or no? Gases, liquids, we can measure this with the help of cc, cubic centimeters. It is the largest proportionate to the body in the entire animal kingdom. There are creatures with larger brain in the animal kingdom, but proportionate to their body, their brain is smaller. Elephant brain is definitely larger than our brain. Whale's brain is larger than our brain, but proportionate to their bodies are very large. Hence, they have relatively proportionately smaller brains. But in the case of humans, we have the largest brain proportionate to the human body, and all healthy children born with the same number of neurons, 1 trillion neurons. Biologically, the brain is same. Structurally, your brain is same. But it's not about what you have, but it is what you do with whatever you have that matters. Yes and no. Brain is same, but it doesn't work in the same way in all people. Yes and no. That is where what we learn, our surroundings, the inputs from outside, all they would matter. You can understand this. So, well, yes. So, brain can be trained, and you can start thinking like the way others think or the way you want to. So, it can change. Okay, anyways, to think is something called as mental function. So, ment, what do you think of your surroundings as? How do you respond to it? How do you reason it out? How do you find logic in it? You will understand this. All these things would make this. So, what is environment here? Environment is our surrounding. Our surroundings would become our environment. So, can we say that organisms have different environments? Different organisms in different places at different times have different environment? Yes or no? Of course, yes. Come on, is there anything to think about it? Yes, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? Organisms in general in different places at different times have different environment and their interaction with their surroundings, wherever you are. For example, if you are swimming in the water, your environment is different. How do you interact with your environment is different than when you are on the land. Yes or no? You get it? And if you are in a forest, your surroundings are different. If you are in a city on the road, your surroundings are different. So, the interaction of organism with their surroundings change, and that becomes subject matter of environment in general. But for all living organisms, the environment on the earth would remain same, constant. Now, that will be a global or larger picture here. So, environment is part and parcel of our ecology. So, environment is integral part of ecology. Now, you can use terms ecology or environment contextually, yes or no. So, environmental studies means study of interaction of living organisms with their immediate surroundings. What is ecology? Ecology is the scientific study and documentation of living organisms and interactions between them and also with their non-living surroundings. So, ecology is broader, bigger, global scale school of thought, whereas environment or environmental studies is a smaller scale school of thought. And environment is part and parcel of our habitat, our home. You will understand this. Hence, environment is part and parcel of ecology. Is that clear? Some basic terms. Yes or no? Some basic terms here. So when we talk about these things, fundamental concepts, we are talking about fundamental concepts here. So ecology. So here we have certain terms here. For example, the organizational levels in ecology, and governing principles in ecology. So these two will become very important concepts, fundamental concepts. We have had questions from this earlier. So what do you mean by organizational levels here? Remember these terms here. The organizational levels of ecology start with the individual. That means you or any other plant or animal, individual. Yes. So multiple individuals are simply called as group of individuals having certain similarities. In general, they would form something called as what? Population. So group of organisms with similarities will be called as population. Here we'll have to introduce a concept called as species. Just we are introducing certain terms here. Please observe them. Make note of them if required. What do you mean by species? Because we'll be using these terms very frequently. Not only in fundamental concepts or degradation of the environment, but more frequently in biodiversity. Species. Origin of species, or new species of flora, new species of fauna, and all these things. We'll be using these terms here. What do you mean by species here? Species means group of organisms with certain similarities. What do you mean by similarities here? What kind of similarities are we talking about here? So we have 4 similarities which are very commonly mentioned across literature to include organisms under this heading of species. What are those similarities? Number one, what is that here? External appearance. Morphological similarities. When group of organisms have morphological, what is morphological? What is morphos? Morphos means external appearance. Morphos means form. Often this becomes identity of certain organisms. Identity, for example, tall, short, white, dark. You understand this? Or you give some colors. You understand this? So these are considered as the form. Form is also called as morphological. Morphological similarities. That's similar in their external appearance. Then you would try to include them under a group which belongs to one species. Second similarity we talk about is something called as anatomical. What is anatomy here? Anatomy is a branch of medical science or science which talks about structural composition of living organisms. For example, when you studied in 11th and 12th, you must have studied botany, something called as structural and functional aspects of flower. You must have studied anatomy of flowering plant. You must have studied. Yes and no. And you must have gone to dissecting a cockroach, dissecting a frog, dissecting a snake. You must have dissected. Okay, may not be you because only biology students who do that. Yes, and other disciplines, yes, something else. What is anatomy here? Anatomy means structural composition. That means if a group of organisms have similar structures in the body, they will be grouped under one species. Similar structures. Please understand this. This is where Charles Darwin hesitated to include human males and human females under the heading of a species, because females have different structures inside their body and males have different structures inside their body. Yes or no? Anatomically speaking. Anatomy means what? Structural composition of living organisms is studied under the heading of anatomy. You will understand this. Anatomy means structural composition. For example, skeletal composition, muscular composition, or digestive. A lot of structures are there in the body. Yes and no. So anatomy means structural. If structures are similar in a group of organisms inside their bodies, you will include them under the heading of Same species. And third similarity which is required is called as physiological similarity. What is physiology? What is physiology in general? What is physiology in general? Okay. Physiology means the functional aspects of structures. You will understand this. What function? For example, structures like bones, muscles and joints. These are structures. But what is the function? Movement, locomotion. We call it as locomotory function. Yes, sir. Structures, for example, we have esophagus, we have stomach, we have small intestine, we have large intestine. These are structures. What is the function? Digestion is the function. Kidneys are structures, but what is the function? Filtration of blood and production of urine. You have to understand this. Brain is a structure. What is the function? Sensory motor. You will understand this. Heart is a structure. What is the function? Pumping of blood. Are you able to? Lungs are structures. What is the function? Breathing is the function. Eyes are structures. What is the function? Vision is a function. Ears are structures. What is the function? Hearing. Mouth is a structure. What is the function? Speech. Hand is a structure. What is the function? Answer writing for you. Yes and no. Brain is a structure. What is the function? Thinking. Likewise, structure is different. Function is slightly different. Yes or no. Pancreas is a structure. In that, islets of Langerhans are structures. What is the function? Sugar control. Yes or no. If they don't function normally, you will get diabetes. You understand this. Skin is a structure. What is the function? Don't say beauty. Thermoregulation. Maintenance of temperature in the body. Many people don't understand this because they think skin is only for beauty and put makeup and skin is healthy. Sorry. Maybe you need a different school of thought. Yes or no? Nails are structures. What is the function? Attack. Is it so? Put nail polish. What is the function? Defense. Do you think you can live without nails? No. Seriously? Maybe you will not have to buy nail polish, but still. No nail polish remover also. Acetone is carcinogenic, man. Yes? Can't we live without nails? Nails you have? Can't you live without it? Okay, what problem will you get if you don't have nails? Okay, night you slept with nails, morning you woke up without nails. Do you think it will make any qualitative difference in the life you lead? Think about it. It's okay because that's how we become better. Nails. Do you think you need them? See, when would we understand whether we need it or not? Its absence should make a difference. If absence doesn't make any difference, presence never did. You understand the context of my words? Hair. Can you live without it? Now come on, there are many people without hair. Some people take it off also, shave it off. What's the problem? Can you live without hair? Then why do you need it? It goes a long way, don't worry about it. You get it? Our ancestors had it. We, without our permission, we're having them. And maintaining is a pretty big problem, yes and no. And women know about it better, especially in India. Because you're supposed to fulfill society's expectations by having long hair, yes and no. Society is the problem. Okay, anyways. So let's not go that far. So, function of a structure. If you study the functions of structures inside living organisms, that subject discipline is called as physiology. You get it? Different structures may put together fulfill similar function. You understand this? For example, okay, so esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine are different structures, but they all have common function. What is the function? Digestion. You understand? So different structures may have similar function. Yes. Okay. Physiological. If functional aspects of a group of organisms are similar, then you may include all those organisms under the heading of same species. That is one aspect. And next, fourth and very, very important similarity is reproductive compatibility. Reproductive compatibility. What is reproductive compatibility here? They should be able to mate and produce a successful offspring. What is offspring? Progeny. What is progeny? Children in the case of humans. But we don't call children in the case of plants or trees. Yes and no. Hence, we have simple biological term called as progeny or offspring, the younger one. So, if organisms are able to mate and produce successful offsprings, they are said to possess reproductive compatibility. And reproductive compatibility is one similarity to include that group of organisms which are compatible under the heading of same species. Charles Darwin opined that human males and females cannot be included under the heading of same species if not for reproductive compatibility, because human males and females look different from each other. They have different structures. They function differently. Then how can you include human males and females under the heading of same species? It is difficult, isn't it? Human males and females are not similar in many aspects except for reproductive compatibility. Please understand this. Yes? Okay. So, these four, when are common between organisms in a group, then that group would be called as one species. So, now we are looking at something called as what? Population. So, population is group of organisms which belong to same species. Please understand this. So, a population. When do you call a group of organisms as population? When all those organisms inside that group have things in common. You will understand this. They belong to same species. Only then you call it as a population. And population is also called as deme. Deme. And scientific study and documentation of populations is also called as demography. Demography, heard about that topic? Yes or no? For example, SIR is happening now. Revision, in terms of revision, yes or no? That is a part of demographic study. Census, you must have heard about this. Decennial India, but we are just waiting for it. Yes or no? Census is also demographic study. You understand this? So, what is demographic study here? Scientific study and documentation of human populations. Can we say that animal populations also exist? For example, can we say fish population? If you are studying fish, can we say a group of fish with similarities as a fish population? Though we call it a school, but still, yes or no? Can we say tiger population? Can we say a bird population? Can we say a particular type of plant population? Tree population? Mosquito population? Yes or no? Why do you have doubt? Do you think you are the only organisms who deserve to be alive on the earth? You are just one among millions who have equal potential and equally they deserve to live on the earth. Yes or no? That's a very big philosophy, isn't it? Yes? So, getting back here, what is that we are looking at here? Population means group of organisms which belong to same species. That is the second level. Again, here I will have to introduce one more topic here. All living organisms. Why they are called as organisms here? Because they have something in common. All of them are made of cells, structural and functional unit of life. Right from bacteria or archaea till Homo sapiens sapiens, all organisms are made of cells. Cell is the structural and functional unit of life. and study of cell is called as cytology or simply called as cell biology. Okay, that's another subject.